I have always asked the question, the Russia war against Ukraine, could that have been stopped from happening? Could us or could the people in power have done something to prevent this from taking place? And did Zelensky ever thought that he could somehow defeat Russia? These are the questions I've asked. And please bear in mind, these are legitimate questions that I am asking. And I hope that one of you guys who follow our channel can provide some answers to the questions. Did Zelensky somehow thought that he could defeat Russia? The reason I'm asking all this is because there is an article circulating that the Americans behind closed doors have started to think about ending this whole thing in Ukraine. And maybe they have realized that it's costing them more than they are gaining from it. And it would be better if they just stop everything and then try to negotiate. Something they would have done maybe a year ago before the whole thing started. But Uncle Sam always has his own way of doing things, right? So let's go through this article, and then when we are done with it, I will give you my own take on this whole thing in Ukraine and the way forward. The headline reads, U.S. European officials broach topic of peace negotiations with Ukraine, sources say. The conversations have included very broad outlines of what Ukraine might need to give up to reach a deal with Russia. That there is a conversation ongoing, though it is being done in secret, that Ukraine might have to give something up in order to reach a peace deal with Russia. Because from all indication, Ukraine is not winning the war. The war has become a stalemate. There is no sign of progress at sight. It would be much more better if negotiations with Russia can begin. But just imagine, before the whole war started, Ukraine had a lot of leverage because Russia might not have wanted to invade. But now that Russia has invaded, and Russia can clearly see that Ukraine is not making any progress, do you think they will just decide to pull out that easily? Or they might just ask for more, maybe a regime change in the country. Who knows, right? Who wouldn't want more? But let's continue. US and European officials have begun quietly talking to the Ukrainian government about what possible peace negotiations with Russia might entail to end the war. According to one current senior US official and one former senior US official familiar with their discussions, the conversations have included very broad outlines of what Ukraine might need to give up to reach a deal. The officials said some of the talks, which officials described as delicate, took place last month during a meeting of representatives from more than 50 nations supporting Ukraine, including NATO members, known as the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, the officials said. The discussions are an acknowledgement of the dynamics militarily on the ground in Ukraine and politically in the US and Europe, officials said. They began amid concern among US and European officials that the war has reached a stalemate and about the ability to continue providing aid to Ukraine. Officials said Biden administration officials also are worried that Ukraine is running out of forces while Russia has seemingly endless supply. Officials said Ukraine is also struggling with recruiting and has recently seen public protests about some of President Vladimir Zelensky's open-ended conscription requirements. Who would have thought about that? That Ukraine would not have enough people to fight their wars. It's so strange, right? That people are realizing it now that the whole war with Russia might not have been a great thing. That they should have looked for a way to resolve this issue from the very beginning than plunging a country into war and killing a lot of people. And at the end of the day, might still give Russia what Russia has always wanted from day one. You know, Russia might still end up getting what they have wanted from day one. If they have given Russia all these things from day one, Russia would not have invaded Ukraine. Ukrainian cities would not have been destroyed. Ukrainian citizens, their young men and women, would not have been killed in the battlefield. Their elderly and young babies, children, would not have been displaced. Do you know the number of Ukrainian refugees in other countries or IDPs in other areas? Many of the people in Ukraine have been displaced. The fighting has ruined many cities in Ukraine. And now we are hearing that Russia might finally still get what they have always wanted, and the Ukraine might not be able to join NATO after all, or maybe even the European Union. So this might end up being a lose-lose for Ukraine. They won't join the European Union. They won't join NATO. They will give Russia the region that Russia has wanted. So how is it a win for Ukraine? I don't understand. How can anyone sit there and say, well, I mean, Ukraine, they tried their best, they had no choice. They had to do what they had to do. And they put up a good fight, They put up a good fight. But unfortunately, they were no match for Russia. Who would have known? Who would have known that a small country like Ukraine, a small country militarily like Ukraine, won't be able to defeat a powerful nation like Russia? Who would have known? Who would have thought about that? Who could see in the future to understand that Ukraine could not possibly defeat Russia on the battlefield? Who would have known about that? This is something that we all are just finding out right now, right? Nobody would have ever thought about that. So this is what I have to say. I think in every single situation or circumstance, peace is always better than war. War is never a great thing because people never win when they go to war with each other. You might think you've won, but believe me, you lose. Russia hasn't won anything. They might get what they have wanted, but they have lost a lot of people fighting in Ukraine. Likewise, Ukraine also has lost a lot of soldiers. Their population have been displaced. Innocent people have lost their lives. So in a war, no one ever wins. No one. And I hope Ukraine will learn from this. And maybe in the future, we choose their battle very, very carefully. But you guys out there, what is your take on this whole breaking story about a possible negotiation with Russia? Do you think that Russia would accept whatever Ukraine propose? And by the way, who, in your own opinion, or what has been benefiting from this conflict in Ukraine? Do you think it's Russia or Ukraine or Uncle Sam? Let us know in the comment section below because, like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel because that helps us a lot and we shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.